All right, here's a game in 3 minutes. This one starts out as an Indian defense. King is Indian with the F3 king side. C5, C3, pretty solid. Trading for him is usually not that good of an idea, and you'll kind of see why. E5, I just follow that with D5. He really doesn't have any kind of counterplay on the queen side at all. I mean, this guy is a good player, over 2,000. So he definitely knew what the heck he was doing. Straight development. Just get your stuff out there before you try anything fancy. Knight c5 is not a threat. You're going to take my white squared bishop. Well, that white squared bishop is not very good because all the pawns are on white. So a lot of people are programmed to take that bishop with that knight, but that's probably not a good move for him. He took it, and I was happy because that's one less defender on that side of the board. My bishop wasn't doing much, but you know, whatever. Bishop b7, solid. I'm looking if he castles kingside to shove bishop h6 on him, and he sees that, and he's not too thrilled with that. Like, hey, I'm gonna mess with you, bro. Knight to h5, not a good move this time. You know, it's very much done a lot in King's Indian defenses, but the circumstances are different. So that knight just becomes a target, which I was planning on doing g4 anyway. He just let me do it for free. And you guys know that I'm the kind of guy that's going to push a pawn to attack a knight. That's just the kind of guy I am. So he wasted 2 moves going to h5 and going back. I got a free move there. And I got the castle, which is cool. Now, I mean, it's a little open, but king to b1 and, you know, no big deal. Queen to c7. Yeah, the computer didn't like that move. I didn't think it was terrible, but it doesn't really do a lot because I'm planning on doing something different. G5 wasn't as good as H5 as the computer recommended. H5 is a much better move, but in a game in 3 minutes, stuff happens. I'm not worried about it. If he wants to trade rooks, I'll trade rooks with him. He doesn't want to, which is fine with me. Now, I get my king to b1. I don't want that queen looking at me with kind of googly eyes. So, oh God, that's a big mistake for him. Castling long is terrible. Pause the video, see if you can figure out what white should do as a response to castling. And we're back. Okay, so hopefully you saw what I saw. Rook c1. Hey, if you're going to put those king and queen in a straight line, that rook's going to go there. It was going there anyway. So he's like, uh-oh, what a mistake. Not horrible. I mean, I don't know about king to d7. But anyway, he goes there. Yeah, and the computer corrected me. I should have played knight to a4. Knight to b5 is okay, but it's inferior. Knight to a4, and I eat that b6 pawn, and there's nothing he could do about it. So that was my fault on that one. I looked at bishop takes b6, but he should just go a takes b5. I take bishop takes rook, and then he takes rook takes bishop. You know, he'd get 2 pieces for the rook and the pawn. It's just not a really good deal for me because I'm giving away too many attackers. His pieces are on the back rank. His rook's on the back rank doing nothing. So it would be a bad move to trade a bishop and a knight for either of his rooks and a pawn because they're just on the back doing nothing, and my pieces are out doing stuff. So I'm better off retreating knight to a3, even though knight to c7 is another strong move. I'm better retreating than exchanging for that rook. So, and then I started realizing that's a horrible move. And I jumped on this relatively quickly. The computer said this is the correct move. Because what happens is that it looked like I'm going to tile something in, bishop b6, and put something, possibly a rook on c7. And then I realized, no, I got better than that. I have this move. Much stronger. He's dead at this point. Rook to c8 was an absolute double question mark mistake. That's what the computer said. And the computer doesn't make mistakes in that regard. He's dead. Queen to b6 is an absolute killing move. There's nothing you can do. Best case scenario is that he's got bishop to a8. You know, and I'm just going to chop. Oh, he can't play bishop to a8. My bad, because he is dead, because he can't go there because it's pinned. And in the game, I was like, man, he should play bishop to a8, and I'll just take his pawn check, and okay, but that's an illegal move, so he really is he's double super dead at this point. There's nothing to stop queen to a7, so he takes, I take, and, you know, hasta la vista, you're dead. I guess technically he should have played. Oh no, the computer. I'll show you what the computer said. Computer said rook c5. Said this is his best move. But he gets squashed by b4. There's nothing he could do. The computer's best suggestion was queen c7, and b takes c5 just basically ends the game. I just take a rook for nothing. You know, the trap is queen takes c7 check, rook takes c7, ha ha, you got nothing. Well, guess what? B takes c5 and is guarding my queen, so ha ha, I got it all. You know me, man, I'm the kind of guy that's going to play pawn takes rook all freaking day. So this is the computer was like, well, you don't get checkmated. Being checkmated or losing a rook against a good player, it's all the same. There's no two ways about it. So just one, that was a mistake that he made that wasn't super obvious. You know, rook to c8 looks like the natural move that you would play. Absolutely, like that looks like a solid move. Like, okay, I'm going to do that, and I'm good, right? Objectively, you know, I'm sure a lot of things would be better. King to a8 would be useful because, you know, with that c8 square open, queen b6, he would just go bishop to c8, and he's guarding everything. So, but rook to c8 was so natural looking, but it just walks into a mate. Because that bishop needs access, or the king needs access to that c8 square, one of the two. And that was just, queen to b6 was just a devastating move. It's one of those things that doesn't take anything. You know, it just threatens to checkmate you. You know, what are you going to do? Oh, man, it's terrible. Yeah, he can't check me. Well, he can. He did. And it just loses. He's got to keep the file closed. But it's, you know, it's just horrible for him. That's just one of those things that's, you know, this happens in chess sometimes. You just you play a natural move that just is so natural, and it's like it only has one problem, and that was queen b6. So, you know, kind of, it was a very goofy opening, as you saw. It was not your standard King's Indian defense. And so that's probably what worked against him, is that I will guarantee you this guy is a very good King's Indian defense player, but the sequence of moves was a little different. And sometimes when it gets a little different like that, even a really good player can evaluate what's going on, and he plays something that's he would never do in a regular King's Indian, but some things happen and it changes, and it makes you think as black that you can do something, you're getting away with something, and you could do something you can't normally do. Well, he did that. He did several things. Let's go back and see what he did. You know, well, the C file opened up, which normally doesn't happen like that at all. So, and normally you don't see white having a bishop on d3. So it's one of those things that he probably misread the bishop d3 as an attacking piece, which a lot of cases, a lot of openings, like in the French defense, the bishop to d3 is an attacking piece. And that might have been, you know, why he went out of his way to take my bishop. It is not a good move to take that c5 knight and trade it for that white bishop on d3. But this is one of those things that, I mean, this guy's a good player. So, you know, even good players can misread what's going on. I know it's a terrible idea to take it. So I had that, you know, advantage. I knew it was bad for him to take it, and he took it. And so I'm like, okay, that's great, because that knight sitting on c5 can be quite useful. So it's just, you know, he nickel and dimes himself with some inferior, not terrible moves. You know, normally you don't see h6 in the King's Indian defense. But, you know, the threat is bishop to h6, and, you know, to go after his thing, you know, by playing g4, h4, bishop h6, that combination. So, just, you know, it's one of those things that sometimes a couple of moves thrown in out of sequence that you normally don't see can vastly change the position, and that's what happened. Those pawns, you see, it doesn't look too bad, but apparently his queenside, well, it's not bad actually. It became horrible. b5 was a terrible move. It was just a terrible move because it's so anti-positional. You know, when he did all this, I don't know, rook takes h1 is probably better, and then knight h5. So that castling was bad. My rook c1 was good. The computer, you know, tactically says that that king over there in b8 is terrible. Well, not terrible, but just not very good. I misplayed knight b5. It should have been knight to a4, and I would have taken that c6 pawn. I mean b6 pawn. So that was my boo-boo. But like my old chess coach used to say, chess is won by the guy who makes the next to last mistake. Oh, that guy was a good player, man. So I admitted my mistake of knight b5 and went back knight a3. Oh, b5 is absolutely terrible. And I saw my natural reaction was to play queen a5. I didn't even have to think about it. It was like, oh man, that just looked so juicy. And like I said, I was trying to get to c7. I was trying to put something there. I wasn't trying to checkmate him directly. That just was one of those things I noticed hanging around. Rook to c8. Boy, that's not a good move. But it sure looks good, doesn't it? Until you play this. So I think it was like, this is the move he should play. And I think this sequence was like minus almost 8. It was like -7 and something. It was, you know, the material was basically even. But the computer put this as a -7.7 or whatever it was. It's so hideously bad because of the mate threat. And it just, you know, cost him the game. You know, bad luck for him, good luck for me. I'll take it. So, well, hopefully you enjoyed that game. It was kind of an oddball little quickie, but pretty interesting. You guys know the drill. And thanks for checking it out, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. All right, later.